All right, so we are going to start our project with these flexible plastic garden fences. I got mine at Dollar Tree. You should only need about 4 of these for this project. And I'm gonna start with the first 2. I'm gonna start by cutting the bottoms off of this. Just using regular scissors for this part. You wanna make sure you're using sharp scissors. These ones are a little dull. So now that I've cut the spikes off, I'm gonna get those out of the way. What we're gonna be doing is we are going to be laying our pieces of garden fence kind of overlapping. So I'm gonna have it overlap about this much. So these 2 pieces are kind of overlapping with the other side. But I'm just gonna cut it and I'm going to secure these 2 pieces together. Now you can use a variety of things for this. I'm gonna be using floral wire for this. I'm gonna be securing this on 3 points. So I'm probably gonna secure it up here and here because I don't want it wiggling too much. So see if you only secure it in one spot, it's really gonna be a little harder to work with, especially with what we're gonna do for this project. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to basically connect these on the same place over here. We still want to maintain that round shape, but we'll get into that in a bit. So yeah, we're gonna do the same thing essentially on the other side, and we will be back. So what we're gonna do is we are going to take our round piece and we're gonna lay it over, because essentially we're gonna be using this as our bottom. So yeah, so we're gonna use this over our bottom, kind of best fit and see where we need to cut along the fence here. So I think I'm actually gonna cut right here. So we're gonna set this aside. We're gonna place this over and we are going to work on attaching this top piece to this bottom piece. I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna start in 4 corners and then I'm going to see what other positions need to be added. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to cut off the excess over here. So if you can see, we have a little bit of excess here. I'm gonna flip this over. I'm just gonna make sure I cut off as much of it as I can. There we go. All right, so now we have this round piece finished. We got our base done. So we're gonna move on to our next step, which is creating a top. All right, for this next step, we're gonna take our 4th piece of fence and we are going to essentially be separating it. So I'm gonna cut down the middle first just to make it a little easier to work with. Okay, so we are gonna start by using this bottom half piece and we're gonna cut the spikes off again like we did on the last couple of fences for the basket. And so we're gonna keep this side nice and we're gonna cut right above this little guy right here, this little piece. And we're gonna go straight across. Okay, so we have this piece already. I'm gonna put it on this to the side so we can work on the other one. For this piece, we are going to cut across, but we are gonna cut across this top part. We're gonna get rid of the little spiky guys and the little hoops. So what we're gonna do for this part is we are just gonna lay them on top of one another and we're just gonna secure them in place with our wire. So pulling out my handy dandy wire again. We're gonna do the same thing we did to secure the other part of our basket. So stay tuned, we will be back when this is all secured together and reinforced with our wire. We're gonna do it exactly the same way. We just want these 2 pieces to stay attached. All right, so this is now secured. So we are going to attach this piece to our lower part with the wire, and then we are going to attach it on the other side. So it's gonna become a basket. All right, so now that this is all attached, we are going to add a coat of some of my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white. You can paint this obviously any color you want, but I want to give it kind of an aged rustic vibe. So I'm going to be using a normal brush and probably a foam brush for this step. We're just going to start applying our paint. And like I said, we want this to kind of look a little rustic, so it doesn't need to be perfectly coated, but we're gonna cover the entire thing and we'll let it dry. All right, so now we've let the paint dry for our basket, and I'm gonna add my own little spin to this. So you can stop at this point if you'd like, but I'm going to be adding some twine to my basket in certain areas just to give it like a really nice decorative accent, and also to keep the basket in the position that I want it to be. So first I'm going to start with the sides of my handles. But I want to kind of, like I said, reinforce this so it doesn't go anywhere, but also kind of give it like a rustic look. And so I'm probably gonna have to ball up my twine a little bit just so it's easier to work with. Essentially, I'm just gonna try and kind of cover up this area. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep wrapping my twine, so we will be back when we're ready to move on to the next step. So now I've wrapped the top and the sides with the twine. So we're gonna take this and we are gonna go put it out on my screened-in porch for where it's gonna live. So we're gonna start with one end of the hose, and using a lighter duty hose is better than a heavy duty one, so it's easy to bend. And we're just gonna start to wrap this hose around itself and secure it with zip ties. And pull it nice and tight. Now as we go, you can leave these ends hanging and we'll clip them off later. If you have a hose that's a little inflexible, you can always put it out in the sun for a little while. It softens up the rubber-like material and it's gonna make it easier to work with. And ideally you want zip ties on 4 sides of your circle that you're making here, so that if you put anything in this basket, the bottom's not gonna fall out. So now that we've got a good size base, I'm gonna go ahead and just trim off these extra here so that they don't get in the way when we make our sides. So now it's time to make the sides of the basket, and we're gonna use the same process. So as we're rolling this, we're just gonna bring it up a little bit and then attach the side to the bottom using zip ties. Now to make this look appealing on the outside, as I go up to my next layer, I'm going to try to line up these zip ties so it just has kind of one nice stripe going all the way up. All right, I've made it to the end. I've got my last little bit of hose. I've got some beautiful height on this basket here. So I am just going to add the last couple of zip ties to hold this in place. Now, if you wanted, you could create some handles for this. You could maybe pull this out a little bit and leave a handle on the side there. I'm just gonna make mine flat all the way around. It's gonna make it a really usable both gift basket and planter. Now I want to go in and trim all of those off. And before I do that, I just want to make sure that everything is pulled nice and tight and my hose is placed exactly where I want it, and then we'll clean this up. All right, so we're all cleaned up on the inside. A few tips here. These edges can get a little sharp, so try to cut them down as close as you can. If you're going to put a plant in here, this has ample drainage. You can just pop a plastic pot inside. I'm going to turn this into a spring gift basket. I hope you found this video inspirational and that you're going to go grab an old garden hose and make it into a really cute gift basket or planter. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.